Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for this video. Ilya Kovalchuk signed in Montreal recently, and I've discussed this on our podcast every Sunday. A couple times I think we've discussed this already, but I wanted to talk about maybe the direction of Kovalchuk, and we spoke about our thoughts on Montreal signing him. It made sense for Montreal. It's a no-risk play or move for Montreal, really. It's the league minimum, $700,000. But thinking ahead, looking at Kovalchuk's first game last night with Montreal and thinking ahead, what does Montreal want from Kovalchuk long-term? Or do they even want anything long-term from Kovalchuk? And on the other side of the coin, what does Kovalchuk want from Montreal? Is he actually going to try and re-sign with Montreal? So, it's kind of a weird situation, because if you're 36, which he is, that means you probably have 4 years max left in the NHL. Not a lot of players make it to actually play when they're 40 in the NHL. So realistically, 4 years max for Kovalchuk, which means the last half of the season, he could have chose, well, maybe he couldn't have. Maybe teams didn't want him, but I find that hard to believe. I find that a Boston or a St. Louis or someone couldn't bring in Kovalchuk for $700,000. That boggles my mind. So to me, it's almost like Kovalchuk chose Montreal, but that decision doesn't make sense at all. So what's the point of signing in Montreal, knowing you're not going to win a cup this year? Does that mean that he wants to play for Montreal long term? He doesn't really care about the Stanley Cup anymore. He wants to play for a franchise that's fairly respected with great fans and an electric building. Is that what he actually wants? Or is this just a step to stay, in good shape and prove himself one last time for a contract in the following year, because he'll be a free agent? I don't really know. It's kind of a weird situation. Like I said, we saw him last night in the game. It was Montreal versus Winnipeg. I actually thought, as a Canadiens fan who is extremely harsh on his own team, I actually thought that Kovalchuk was one of the best players on the ice for both teams, regardless of the Winnipeg Jets or the Montreal Canadiens. Just as a general player, I thought Kovalchuk was really good. He played way more physical than I thought he was going to. He got an assist. He was on the ice for another goal. He had a really good attempt at a goal earlier in the game. I would say top 2 player for sure from Montreal. And you know what? I mean, Sherratt scored 2 goals, so it's hard to say that he wasn't the best player in the game. But, if you told me that Kovalchuk was the best player in the game, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I agree with that. So they play again tonight. Montreal plays Detroit tonight, I believe. Now, what an opportunity for Kovalchuk. He has a second chance to revitalize the half end of his career. He's in the second game with Montreal, and they're playing the worst team by far in the NHL. So this is a real opportunity for him to showcase his skill and put some points up on the board. Now, he doesn't really have to showcase his skill. We all know how good Kovalchuk is, but he has to prove it to the Montreal fans that it was worth it. It was worth signing Kovalchuk. Realistically, Montreal's not making the playoffs. They are, I think, 10 points behind third place in the Atlantic, 6 or 7 points behind a wild card position, and they've played more games than anyone in front of them, basically. So I don't think most Montreal fans expect Kovalchuk to get Montreal into the playoffs. But that doesn't mean that they don't expect him to perform, because when you come to Montreal, there are expectations maybe higher than most other franchises. If you come to places like Toronto, there are expectations. There are definitely media expectations. Same in Montreal. So he still has a lot to prove, even though he's only signed for $700,000, even though he's probably only going to be here half the year. There's still expectations, and he still has to perform. And he did perform last night, so I'm pretty happy about that. But I still don't understand the decision to come to Montreal. According to the Montreal Gazette, Kovalchuk has purchased an $11.2 or $11.6 million home in Beverly Hills. Now, he's married. I believe he has 4 children, and they currently live in LA. I think his kids go to school in LA, obviously, since he played for the Los Angeles Kings. I don't know what that means for the future as well. If you want to play in Montreal for the next couple of years, would you buy a home in Los Angeles? If he was 25, I'd say, no, that doesn't make sense. There's something fishy going on. But he's 36. So he's probably going to retire within the next 1 to 3, maybe maximum 4 years, like I said earlier. So maybe he does buy his vacation home, or not his vacation home, maybe he does buy his retirement dream home now, since he's on basically the end of his career, and that's where he's going to live after he does retire, but he still plays for another team other than LA or Anaheim or in that area. I don't know. It's a very weird situation, and I kind of made this video not so I could really talk to you, because I think I'm saying a lot of the same things that some other people are saying. But to me, this video is about you guys, because I kind of want to hear your feedback in the comment section. What the hell is actually going on with Ilya Kovalchuk and his future? Where is he going? What's next for Ilya Kovalchuk? So, I don't know. It's going to be a weird situation at the end of this year to see what happens. But regardless, if you did not get a chance to see the game last night between Montreal and Winnipeg, I highly suggest that you even just drop in for 5 minutes just to see Kovalchuk in the Canadiens uniform, see what he brings to the ice. If he brought what he had last night, tonight, it should be a pretty good game for him. And as a hockey fan, that's always exciting to see. So I hope you can drop by and see that game tonight against Montreal and Detroit. If it's blacked out, well, that sucks, but I'm sure you can go online somewhere and find a secret link or something. But anyways, yeah, this whole situation really confuses me. I don't really know what to think of it. As a Canadiens fan, I mean, I guess I'm happy in a way. It's a league minimum, so I still don't think he should be allowed to play in the league, though. And that's not his fault. I'm not blaming it on any specific team or anything. I'm blaming it on the rules. There is no way that an NHL player should be able to play in the NHL when 3 teams are paying him money. It's ridiculous. Like, there needs to be a rule put in place. But anyways, we discussed that in the podcast. If you haven't listened to our podcast, come join us every Sunday for the Post to Post podcast on this channel. And if you're looking for some other hockey talk and geography trivia and just other content in general, check out the second channel that I've got going, More Post to Post. It's linked down below in the description. I'd love it if you could join me over there. Otherwise, have a great day. Hope you're watching lots of hockey, and I'll see you in the next video. Adios.